Hey there, welcome to Contracts and Chaos. My name's Alyssa.
And I'm Brenna, and we're here to tell you that you are not alone in the mayhem of this real estate industry.
We're keeping it real and sharing our stories, strategies, and successes in today's real estate world.
So come join us every Tuesday while we talk contracts and chaos.
Yay, we're recording.
Yeah, recording. Let's circle back to what we're actually supposed to be talking about.
Right?
Today.
Yeah, we've been chit-chatting for 30 minutes now, and now we hit the record button.
100% not about, we should go. Honestly, I thought about that. Like, we should just record when we log on and just see what naturally comes out of our mouths. But listen, sometimes I
don't know about that. There are some things that come out that I don't know that I want recorded anywhere ever.
Yeah, exactly.
I would never be able to run for office.
I'd have to do a lot more editing,
Right? But this week we're going to talk about limiting beliefs. And I titled this, and we might change the title of the episode, but it reminds me of this is going to age me. God. The Mary Tyler Moore Show. And her theme song.
I saw that note in here, and I'm like, I don't know what that is, but okay. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. If you guys can see her face, this is going to be one of the clips for next week because
how do you?
I have no idea who Mary Tyler Moore is. I'm so sorry. You can explain it to me later.
You don't even know who she is.
No.
We done.
Okay, folks. We done.
What?
Brenna's going to do some homework. We'll come back next week more prepared.
Mary Tyler Moore is a very famous actress from the 60s, 70s. And she had a show, The Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Okay.
And I would equate it to Friends of the 70s. Wasn't quite Sex in the City, more of a Friends vibe. And it was about a young single woman who moved to the big city for a job and how she made friends and navigated it. And the theme song, I'm not going to try to sing it. You can look it up. But the big chorus line in it was, "You're going to make it after all." And so the whole, not the whole show, but a lot of it is about her moving to the big city, and is she going to be able to make this work? And it's definitely the Friends of that generation. I can't believe.
Wow.
Oh, God.
I love me some Friends. So
I'm pretty sure Dick Van Dyke was on it at one point.
I was going to say, so if it's a mix of Dick Van Dyke and I Love Lucy and things like that and a Friends vibe, I'm sure I love it, but I've never heard of it.
Okay. I know.
But I will title this. I will title this, "You're Going to Make It After All." It'll be great.
I'm only 40. How am I already so outdated? Anyway.
It's fine. We are talking about limiting beliefs.
Yes. And
what they do to us.
Yes. And do you know who Tom Hanks is?
Yes, I know who Tom Hanks
is.
At least
we've got that. Because when I was looking into this and about limiting beliefs, a quote from him came up. It was an NPR interview that he did. And he said his biggest fear and the running thought in the back of his mind all the time is, when are they going to discover that I am, in fact, a fraud?
Mm-hmm.
And that just made me I feel like a lot of us feel like that. What?
I knew that quote too. So here we go.
Okay, you're redeeming yourself a little bit.
I'm redeeming myself slowly but surely.
Yes.
But yes, you're exactly right. I do think that a lot of us have moments where we're like, oh my God. Look at us on this podcast. How many times we're like, when are they going to realize that we don't know what we're talking about?
Exactly. Or when are my clients going to realize that on the inside I'm really just a scared little 16-year-old girl who doesn't know what the hell she's doing and feels like she's faking it every day.
Yeah.
But I think so many of us get stuck in these limiting beliefs. And it's not that we don't have the skill or that we don't have the hustle. It's that we have that little voice in our brain, or sometimes it might not be your voice. It might be the voice you heard in your childhood. I know when I'm struggling with something, I hear my grandfather yelling at me, "Come on, kid, you got this." But for some people that's what it is. It's that little voice that says, "I can't do this because," or "I'll never get that because." And it's time to knock those out.
Or
so
I'm not good enough because.
Right. I'm not good enough because. So like defining. So today I want to walk through what a limiting belief is and then a couple tips on how to work through them. So technically a limiting belief is any thought that you accept as truth that holds you back. So a couple could be like one of mine when I first got into this was everyone kept telling me to work your sphere of influence. And I was like, I've only lived here 5 years. I don't know enough people to have a sphere of influence. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Or I'm too young. This is one I've heard a lot. Or I'm too old. People come into this as a retirement gig and they're like, I'm too old. You know, I haven't been in it long enough. People won't trust me. I know.
Yeah, I ran into that one a lot because I was, 23 when I got my license, 24 when I got my license. And it was compared to, I think we went over like the NAR statistics at one point. I think that the average age, not the highest age, the average age of a real estate agent is like 58.
Right.
You know, so you see like this, I mean, I love old people. So you see this like charming little old lady that's showing houses and you're like, you trust that person. It's like an instinct that you have. They're older, they're wiser, they've been through this before. Right. I trust you. And I've got clients that are 3 times my age. They're like, yep.
Well, and like you feel like they've done it. If you hadn't, I mean, you owned a house when you got into this, but a lot of 24-year-olds don't. So how can you guide someone through the process that you've never done? Yep. Or like, I mean, I met a 21-year-old fresh out of college last week or 2 weeks ago in Florida at the convention. She got into it. Her dad told her to get, like, paid for her to get her license. He's in mortgages. He was like, it's a great side hustle in the summer and, you know, something you might want to go into. She got her degree in social media entrepreneurship or something like that.
I didn't know you could get a degree in social media entrepreneurship.
Girl, the things you can get degrees in these days. But she, for the last 3 years of college, was the go-to agent for student housing at that university in the city of Tampa.
That's amazing.
Because she was a student. She knew where you probably do and don't want to live. She knew all of the landlords. Like she knew, okay, you're on this part of campus, then you don't want to live on this side of town because the walk to class or the drive to class or whatever, like that. And she's built a book of business. And so it started as rentals and then it became the parents purchasing because they're like, well, we'd rather just buy a condo and gain the equity than pay rent. Sure. And then when their kids graduate, they're like, we don't want to be landlords for anyone else. Sell it. So imagine if she let that belief of like, I'm only 19.
Or the fact that you'd have to know everything about everything, right? Like if she's working with that client avatar, that college student's family, she's probably working with retirees, right? Or first time home buyers or like married couples that have kids. She found the sweet spot, what she was confident in, what she knew, and ran with it. I think that we get stuck so much. I know people, I mean, I've done it plenty of times myself that like, ooh, I'll do it when I know everything, right? If that was the case, I never would have done real estate because you just had a transaction, right? We have these moments where like, oh, I've seen it all, right? This is the most bizarre thing that has ever happened. And then something else happens. And you're like, oh, yep, this is fun. Because we will never, ever, ever know it all. First of all, because weird shit happens all the time. Second of all, because they keep changing the rules every year. So everything we'll have to learn forever.
Yes, I'm on year 4 or 5 of having my South Carolina license. And I am on year 4 of changes as to whether or not I have to take South Carolina continuing ed or if my North Carolina rolls over.
Count. Yeah.
Like it changes this business. So if you were like, I can't do it until that's not going to work. I think another one I'm hearing a lot right now is the market's too slow. I can't succeed.
Well, and that's fear,
Right.
posing as a fact.
Yes.
Right? Because we get these statistics that say 70% of real estate agents sold less than one home. I don't know how you sell less than one home. That just means zero, right?
Right. Well, but here's the other thing. I think the other thing they need to look at those stats is not everyone who has a real estate license is active. Or maybe they're in property management. Or maybe they only have it to manage their own portfolio to see what's in MLS. Like, so
it's just like any other kind of news. You can take what they give you, but you have to also take it with a grain of salt and also do your own research and have some confidence in what you bring to the table.
And honestly, like, your market is what you make it. There are people who survived 2008 and are flourishing today. So, like, I mean, as much as I don't know a ton about her, and, you know, like, there are some things I'm not a fan of, but Krista Mayshore is one of those people. She hustled and made a market where there wasn't one.
And I've heard so many people recently say that these kinds of market is what separates those people, right?
Yep.
This is where this is where people wash out because they're like, oh gosh, because there is so much uncertainty. But if you're doing the things, if you're doing the work, if you're showing up daily to do the not pretty things, not the big flashy social media posts, or maybe not closing every week or things like that, if you're showing up in your business, making the connections, doing the work, that's what's going to separate you from the person that got into this business in 2020 to make some fast cash off some friends and family.
Right. Well, and being honest, 2020, 2021, my worst years because I didn't have the skills to make a market.
And it was a crazy market.
Right. Like, there was a ton of competition. So a busy, crazy market isn't always the best market either. It's I think it's very similar to, like, when we tell clients, you don't want to wait for the interest rates to drop because then we're going to go back into the line of 50 offers. Same thing. Like, a crazy busy market is where those people who want the easy money are going to jump in, and it's going to be 50 agents that people can choose from. So it's better to build that skill set. The one I heard recently was, I'm not tech savvy enough.
That's such a cop out. My freaking dad does this. And he's like, he can get on Facebook Marketplace. Sorry, Dad. I know you'll never listen to this because you're not tech
I just love
savvy
that it's
enough,
not my mom this week that we're like, hey, Mom.
Yeah. Hey, Dad. But here's the thing. He can figure out how to get on Facebook Marketplace to buy all this junk, right? But you can't figure out the 3 other buttons to start selling the stuff that you bought to sell? Come on now.
Or, like, that is literally, if you can fill in a PDF and send an email, you can probably succeed in this. Because basics.
We're not talking that you need to code your entire website or build a buyer lead flow that lasts 180 days with 2,000 touches on it. Like, that's not the point. Like, if you, and this, you can teach an old dog new tricks, right? If you want to do something, you 100% can do it.
Yep.
Can't, never could. I can't tell you how many times I heard that growing up. But if you already decided that you can't do it, then you've lost the battle because you never tried.
Yep, exactly. And there's so many more. I mean, we have a whole list of them here. I'm not a salesperson. I don't have a big enough sphere or network. I don't deserve success because I'm new or inexperienced. I mean, we could go over billions of them. But I think it's important to talk about, where do these come from? And you touched on it before. A lot of it comes from fear. A fear of failure, a fear of rejection. That's the one for me. I'm afraid I'm going to flop and be embarrassed and people are going to be like, ha, look at that girl. But I had to get over it. It's like, just do it. Or I think another one, and both of us have fallen victim to this before, is comparing ourselves to other agents on social media. And we've talked about this, about how, like, success looks different for everyone. Don't get me wrong. I love that Andy G has a different striped suit for every closing this week. Good for him.
Yeah.
I wore jeans to mine. Actually, I didn't. I had a dress on, but I wore it was on top of the laundry pile, and I didn't have to put it together when I ran out the door because the bank was screwing everything up. But or Maybe you didn't get the mentorship you needed at the beginning of your career. I had that happen, and now I've sought it out.
I was going to say, this is a big one. This is just to pause here, because again, that is a decision. And we say this, I think I say it every episode. We're going to have to like just put a highlight reel together of me being like, it's a lonely business if you choose it to be a lonely business.
That,
because I say it every
depends.
time.
It depends. It depends on the situation.
It does, but what you're not changing, you're choosing, right? So we both were in a situation when we first got licensed that like the support, the mentorship, the training was not necessarily, maybe it was what we were looking for, maybe it's what we expected, and maybe whatever we got, what did work for somebody else. But the difference is we didn't just sit in this puddle and be like, oh, well, I didn't learn that. Nobody told me that.
Right.
Nobody helped me do that. YouTube was my best freaking friend.
Yes, YouTube. Wasn't as much TikTok, but like Instagram reels and like coaches on there. Because I was broke. I was like, I need all the free information I can get. Yeah, until I found people who would take me under their wing, or until now, like I hired a coach. Like, and maybe I've just always been a go-getter. I've always been the one to be like, I got this. But yeah, you've got to, you can't, I hate the phrase, you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But you can't sit there and just melt. You can't just be like, oh, well, I had a past experience, or I had this. Like, work through it. I hate to break it to you, everyone in this world has a something. And not that theirs being worse than yours makes yours less valuable or less important, but everyone has a something.
I have to tell you, the first time I ever made a for sale by owner call, I got yelled and screamed at by this little old lady that lives not very far from my house, okay? And I've seen this house come back on the market probably 6 times in the past 6 years because she's so wretched. She won't work with anybody, and she's mean, right? But I cried. I was like, I can't do this, right? And somebody in the office, and I forget who it was. I wish I could remember who it was because it was such a moment for me. I was so upset because like, I can't do this. Like, I don't have a seer. Like, this was supposed to be like what I'm doing is calling for sale by owners. I can't remember who it was, but God love her, was like, you never have to talk to that lady again. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I never have to call her again. And the number of times that I've... Go ahead.
Nope, sorry. We got a delay.
I was just going to say the number of times that I've seen this house for sale by owner since then and been like, nope, I don't have to call her.
Yep.
It's or so like, great.
They preach the like, you have to call them 7 times in 7 days. No, you don't. If someone abuses you like that, no, take them off the list. Move on to the next one. Like we've talked about before, like when we've had bad clients, take that energy elsewhere. I think another big one, and I somewhat fell into this. No one in my family is like overtly super successful. I don't have like a rich aunt or uncle somewhere who I could be like, hey, I need to borrow a couple $1 million. Probably couldn't even borrow a couple thousand from some people. And that's fine. But I do have parents who, Mom, I love you, taught at the same school in the same 2 classrooms for 35 years. I have a dad who, while he bounced around jobs and different companies, very much was get a job, get benefits. If you could get a government job, that would be better because it's hopefully lifetime benefits, not for our generation anymore, but, you know, and he always had like a side hustle. Like he has his captain's license, so he drove like a dinner cruise boat, and he had a dive shop for a while, but he was never fully an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So when I made this decision, as much as my mom said, you have to build your life to look the way you want it to, I can guarantee she hung up the phone and cried with fear, because that is not something anyone on any side of my family has ever done. I was the first one, as far as I know.
And it's a scary thing to that generation.
It is.
It really, really is.
And it really is.
I live that same story. Like we have a bajillion kids in our family, right? My mom was a stay-at-home mom, homeschooled all of us. God love her. Don't know why or how she would ever do that, but she did. So we were a single-income family my whole childhood. And my dad did this for somebody, and we did like he never bet on himself, right? A friend was doing something, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm in on that, and I'll help do that and help build other people's dreams. But he never, and still to this day, has not bet on himself doing the work. My dad is a hard worker. He has been a hard worker his whole life. He lived the family business in logging until he, got a job driving a rear dump, right? It's something to count on every week. And when you have 9 babies at home, you need that kind of security. And that's what I think people miss in this industry until you get to a certain point of success is there is no certainty. There is no, I'm getting a $2,800 paycheck this week, no matter what Susan at the coffee cart says, right? Like, I just have to make it to Friday. I'm getting that direct deposit.
Right.
And I think that we get stuck though. And it's the same thing with like moving. You and I both relocated. My whole family up until I left had lived within like a 20-minute radius of this small town that my grandparents just ended up in. That nobody left. Nobody did anything different. Nobody, again, bet on themselves. It's so comforting. People are comfortable in what they know that they're afraid to step out and look stupid, right? They're afraid to fail. They're afraid to have people point fingers and be like, I told you you so. Nobody wants to hear that, but that keeps you so pigeonholed in something that maybe you were meant for something bigger than that.
Right. And like, I lost my thought.
Happens.
I think, that's what I was gonna say. I think the other thing is like that generation, like my parents' generation, your parents' generation, also, and every generation before and after, they want better for their kids. They want them to have the more, but there's still that fear. So it's like, get them, go be, I was a teacher, go be a lawyer, go be a doctor. It's scary for them to have their kids say, I'm going to go work for myself. So, or those people who like, right. Or there are cultures and religions that people grow up in where you are taught that having a lot of money is a bad thing and being successful is a bad thing. It's not. It's only a bad thing if you're a bad person with it. Like,
or being a successful woman, like that. Like your job, especially like me as a mom, like that's not your place. Your place is not to be a provider. It's to be a nurturer, and I can do both. I can be both.
Exactly. Or like, on a dating app once. Short story, guy couldn't handle the fact that I had my own float in a Christmas parade. That was too much success for him. He was inviting me to be on his float, and I was like, thanks, but I've got another parade that day. Couldn't handle it. Can you imagine if I was just like, oh, that's okay, I'll give up? No. Oh
my God, the way you just said no.
Gives me
are you getting hives? Oh my
God.
She just got all itchy and like uncomfortable.
Right? Like,
all right.
no.
I think how are we overcoming these though?
Right.
Because that's the hard part.
I think the most important step, just like AA or something, is acknowledging it. Catch it. You need, and this is, the example in here is one that I use with my female friends all the time when they're like, especially when they're talking about their bodies. Is say to yourself, would I say this to a friend in my shoes? So like when my friends say, ugh, my body's this, or ugh, I have such big thighs, or whatever, I look at them and go, hey, I'm your best friend, right? What would you say to a stranger if they walked up to me right now and said, Alyssa has the flattest ass and the like softest fat thighs? You'd punch them in the face. So you are supposed to be your own best friend. Why are you saying that about yourself? So when you hear these things in your brain, whether it's your voice, your grandfather's voice, the preacher at church who's actually saying it to you or wherever, just an example, would you say that to your best friend? Would you say that to a friend who's in your shoes? Or would you be like, damn, like, look at you. You are doing your own thing. You're building your own business. It may not be where you want it right now, but you are taking the steps to get it there.
And I think that's the next part too, is like challenging that belief that keeps popping up. Like, is it factual or is it fear masquerading as a fact? Because that happens so often. Like the one we talked about earlier, like I can't do this. Like I don't have what it takes to be successful. Is that true? Are you just choosing to quit before you start? Or do you just need to learn some more? Do you need another couple of times up to bat? Like, what is it? You only fail when you walk away.
Right. So, and that's where the next step comes in, of like, replace that thought. Okay, so we've caught it. We've challenged it, like questioned, is it true or not? Now let's replace it. So instead of like, I don't know enough or I'm not experienced enough, let's reverse that and change it into, I'm committed to learning more every day. Or I know I can ask questions when I'm unsure. That, like,
give your brain something else to focus on.
Yeah, and make it a positive thought. Mm-hmm. I really love the next one. I don't know that I would do it, but I did something similar in corporate America, like for when I knew I would have my annual review coming up. Mm-hmm. And we called it something different then, but like a proof journal or a win log. Like, keep a list of your wins and your positive feedback. Go look at your Google reviews if you have some. Or like, just journal down, like, I went toe to toe with a lender on Friday and got them to close the file on time. That's a win. Like,
yes,
they may not feel like it, but it was for me.
Yeah, exactly. And those little reminders though, because I mean, everybody has those days where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't figure this out. Like, this is it. This is where the cookie crumbles. And then just like, if you think about everything that you've been through, whether it's just in business, just in the real estate deals that you've had in the past, that you did come across something like this and now it's rehashed in a different font. It's the same problem, different font. Having those things to fall back on, be like, oh yeah, I already did this. It was a different person. It was a different situation, but it's the same problem. And I have the skills to get through this problem.
Right. Yep.
And I think the other thing too is, what do they say? Misery loves company. Stop hanging out with people that are also like, oh yeah, no, that's scary. That's big scary. I don't know if I would do that because that's scary. Or you might not be able to do that. Or, oh gosh, your thighs are a little big. You know, like we don't need that. We don't need those people. And honestly, the more that you can only pull somebody out of a hole if they want to also get out of the hole, right? It's easier to pull somebody down than it is to pull somebody up. So those choices and who you surround yourself with, you want those people that are like, yes, girl, you can do it. You can send out 100 expired her boxes this month. I believe in you.
You doing that?
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
No, I'm not doing it.
That's like more than 3 a day.
Well, heck, I don't even know if there's like 100 expireds in my little area right now. Anyways, irrelevant.
I was going to say, you're going to have to like reach for that one.
Yeah, that's a long ways.
But I think to that point is like, you are the sum of, the 5 people you spend the most time with? Mm-hmm. So get in different rooms. Find masterminds. Go to like the lunch and learns that lenders and builders put on and meet different agents who are of a more positive mindset. Like, that will help.
Borrowed belief goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
it goes a long way. Like, you see somebody else's, and there's a fine line between seeing somebody else's success and being jealous of that success, or being like, oh my God, she did it. I can do it too.
Right.
I can do it too. Right. And I think that finding those rooms, whether it's just one accountability partner or you're in a massive Facebook group that helps do that, you can borrow that success and be like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Susie did this and I was going to do this and she did it and it was successful. I know I can do it because she just figured it out too. She had no idea what she was doing. If she did it, why can't I?
Yep. And like, I think that the other thing is like, just do it. If you fall on your face, the fact that you took action is going to move you further forward, even if you fail, than not taking action. Just sitting in your thoughts and letting them win and not doing the things. Guys, you've seen me go through this since January when I lost those 2 sponsors for my farming. You've watched me sit in that and be like, oh God, what do I do now? Like, people don't want to partner with me. And Brenda's called me out on it and been like, hey, this is when your mindset changed for a little bit. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But even during that, I was still trying to do other things. And guess what? I have a listing coming up next week because I was doing the expired letters. Even though I wasn't fully executing the whole process, I was still trying. And that lady held on to my letter and called. So messy action is better than no action, or than sitting there and overthinking it. Same thing, like if you're struggling with like, oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, the messy action, like your 5 expired letters or boxes or whatever that was, beat out that agent that was like, oh gosh, I can't do 200, so I'm not going to do any of them.
Right. Yep.
Or I'm afraid that a Karen is going to take and no offense to the Karens out there, just mean ones, they'll take a picture of this letter and post it on the HOA board or God, the local town Facebook page and be like, oh my God, this soliciting is so, I saw that the other day and I was like, oh my goodness.
Was it for you?
No.
Oh.
No, it was for somebody, it was a roofing company. The gentleman stopped by. It was like a little door hanger that was offering to do a roof inspection. And it was like, she went up one side and down the other. And the comments were split about 50-50 about like, oh yeah, those are the scum of the earth. And also like, the man's trying to feed his family. So.
Right. Yeah. Like.
Back off.
Get over it. Would she have been mad if it was the Avon lady 50 years ago? Get over it.
Probably not.
Anyway. So like, and this says we're supposed to talk about our own personal stories. I think we've shared them through different episodes. We've talked about some here. I don't know that I have anything okay, my most recent one was losing those sponsors. Like I was like, shit, what do I do now? Well, guess what? I'm still doing the schools. I'm still being involved as much as I can in that area. Like I figured it out. And I think sit in it for a minute if you need to, but don't dwell in it. Figure out, okay, what do I do now? How do I pivot? What do I change? Where do I find a new sponsor? What do I do? Because you're going to find that a lot in this business.
Yeah, there's never going to be a day that you're like, oh, I finally hit level 10. I will never have anything come up for the rest of my career that is going to make me question my abilities or challenge who I am or challenge what I believe. That's not going to happen. Whether, again, this goes for personal life, this goes for business life. Like, it is what it is. What you choose to do with those feelings that come into your head, I had this conversation with Madeline the other day. She's like, oh, it made me so angry. I can't help it. And I was like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Your reaction to somebody else's choice is you are responsible for that. And I mean, maybe that was a little heavy for a 9-year-old, our little conversation, but it's one of those things you get to choose. You get to choose. I don't think you need to say anything besides that. And that's super powerful to like think about and look at, that you have a choice. You get to choose if you let this negative voice in your head, whether it's your own or whether it's somebody from church when you were a kid or an adult when you were a teenager, you get to choose what you do with that and reframe it and move forward, or sit there in that puddle and melt.
Yep. And trust me, the puddle is not going to turn into the ocean that you have a giant ship on. You got to step out of the puddle. You've got to step out of the puddle. So.
Well, I think that's it.
I think I would love to, if you're listening to this, I would love listeners to do 2 things. Okay. If you have a limiting belief or maybe a couple, write them down this week and think about how you're going to overcome it. Rewrite that in that positive mindset. And maybe if you need to, the steps to overcome whatever that limiting belief is. Is it, I don't know how to do TikTok reels? Okay, I can learn to make TikTok videos or reels. I'm going to watch 1 YouTube video a week to learn how to use the software. or, you know, something like that. Or I'm going to go, if you need to, I'm going to go upgrade my phone because I do have an iPhone 8 and the camera sucks. And then I would love to, when you see us post about this or on any of our other posts, let us know, like, what's your biggest takeaway? What did you guys think about this episode? We would love some feedback. Give us some ideas. What do you want to hear us talk about next time? I think that's it. I think don't let the false thoughts in your head limit who you can become.
Amen. And with that, we'll see you guys next week.
Why did my...
We just finished another episode of Contracts and Chaos, but believe me, the chaos does not stop here. So check out the show notes for our email address and where to follow us on socials, and we will see you next week.